What's up, guys? I'm Steve. In this video, I'm going to be going over my top Week 15 waiver wire ads. But before I get into it, I'd really appreciate it if you could go down there, drop a like on this video. I'd really appreciate it. I'm just getting into it here now. So we're going to start with some running backs here. We're going to start with Gus Edwards of the Baltimore Ravens. J.K. Dobbins is certainly back. Make no mistake. He made his return. And he definitely looked great with the touches he got. Tyler Huntley went down in the third quarter and ultimately did not return. Meaning one less player rushing in this Baltimore Ravens backfield, which should lead to more opportunities for Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins both as a whole, as they probably lean on the running game more and more with no Lamar Jackson, no Tyler Huntley, down to their third string quarterback now, and that uncertainty at the QB position in Baltimore again should lead to more opportunities for players like Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, and if nothing else, Gus Edwards can be a handcuff stash, a low-valued handcuff stash. But yeah, I think going forward, there should be more opportunities in that backfield, especially with the QB situation a mess. Jumping to another running back here, Marlon Mack. We talked about how Latavius Murray is a 32-year-old running back, and you should not be putting all your stock into a 32-year-old running back. Well, that paid dividends this week. Marlon Mack, I mean, he only had 5 touches compared to Latavius Murray's 11, but he obviously made them count. Marlon Mack, he ran the ball 3 times for 15 yards, 5 yards a carry, and he had 2 catches as well, as long as with that long reception he had there for a touchdown, like 62 yards. He looked fast. He looked explosive. I mean, this was his first real game action in a Denver Broncos uniform since he was signed to their practice squad and ultimately brought up for this game. Mike Boone was ruled out of this game early with an ankle injury, so that's obviously something we need to monitor moving forward, but it's probably going to be a committee still. But I feel like with this showing from Marlon Mack, that should at least increase his chances of getting more opportunities, because they can't keep giving it to Latavius Murray, man. They're not going to get anywhere. But going forward, I feel like it should be Marlon Mack if Mike Boone ultimately isn't going to be playing. Another player here, we've mentioned him many times. I think this is the third time I've mentioned him. Jordan Mason. We know what his value is if CMC were to ever go down, and his value to a CMC owner. So if you have Christian McCaffrey, do your best to try to have this guy on your roster. The fantasy playoffs are next week. You need your studs insured. Jumping to another running back here, Damian Harris. Ramondre Stevenson, he's been a beast with no Damian Harris in the fold, but New England has shown nothing of a running game with no Damian Harris. It looks like Damian Harris might return this week. We're not sure yet, but he has a great 3-game stretch against the Las Vegas Raiders, the Bengals, and then the Dolphins. If he can stay healthy, Damian Harris, these are all very exploitable defenses he can run all over. We're gonna go to some wide receivers here. DJ Chark. DJ Chark he's been quietly consistent the last 2 games. He's earning himself a 16.2% target share over those 2 games. He's averaged at least 94 receiving yards in those 2 games. He's got a tough matchup against the Jets this week and Sauce Gardner, but the volume and the Detroit offense clicking on all cylinders, DJ Chark is certainly worthy of flex spot or flex appeal at least. Just with how Detroit has been playing, they've been on fire recently, man. Jumping to another Detroit receiver here, Jameson Williams. A little more positivity for him. A little more playing time. He ran 6 routes this week. He had his snaps increase up to 18%, his snap share. He had 2 targets, which he turned one into a 41-yard touchdown. Everything is trending up for this talented rookie, and hopefully, as early as this week, he could be a full-time player, or at least maybe play at least half the snaps. But these are all strong showings from him, and it's all positive signs. So we just need to be a little more patient with Jameson Williams here. Jumping to another wide receiver here that almost made his return this week. Kadarius Toney, he made his return to practice this week on a limited basis, and he looks like he's going to be returning from you guessed it, a hamstring injury. But if there's a silver lining here, is that these last few weeks with him not playing have given him a chance to learn the playbook a little more. So he should be, tip top shape when he gets on the field. If. but he should step right back into a full time role with this offense. He has Pat Mahomes throwing to him. His practice reps are just something to monitor for this week, obviously. But once he starts playing again, he should be pretty rock solid. Another wide receiver we've talked about for a few weeks now, I feel like Elijah Moore. I've mentioned him in previous videos, and how there is a chance that Mike White can support 3 receivers with the passing volume, and it's kind of looking that way, at least for now. I know Corey Davis, he was out for a little bit. He smacked his head. But, obviously Garrett Wilson and Corey Davis are the number 1 and 2 guys. But if these guys are dropping back 40 times a game, Elijah Moore, he had 10 targets this week. He's had 18 targets the last 3 weeks with Mike White under center. So we've talked about how easy the Jets' schedule is the rest of the season. And if he can support that kind of volume going forward, I think they rank 8th rest of season, their schedule. That's very good. And if Mike White can support that kind of pass volume for all 3 of these receivers, hey, go grab Elijah Moore. Jump into some tight ends here. A very unattractive name. Robert Tonyan. With great risk comes great reward, I was once told. The Packers play the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Vikings the next 3 weeks. Those are all very good matchups for tight ends. The problem with good matchups is they don't lead to good fantasy production unless that player gets that production. So hopefully Robert Tonyan can get the production in these good matchups, because he hasn't really had any good finishes since week 6, I believe. But the matchups are good. Hopefully he can capitalize on that opportunity. Tyler Conklin here, he has 3 solid matchups against Detroit, Jacksonville, and Seattle over the next 3 weeks, which have Tyler Conklin firmly on the streaming radar. And if that's how you've been rolling with tight ends, hey, go pick him up. He's got those 3 matchups are rock solid. And then the last tight end I'm going to go over, Chig Okonkwo. We mentioned how Chig, he could be a sneaky little ad there if you needed a tight end. And he certainly came through this week. He had 6 catches for 45 yards, the 1 receiving touchdown. There was no Treylon Burks, and he was still splitting snaps with Austin Hooper. And Austin Hooper did ultimately lead the team in receiving. But he still has 40 or more receiving yards in 4 of the last 6 games. He has a 15.7% target share. Even if he isn't a full-time role player, the production has been there. So he is definitely worthy of a ad, especially with the landscape of tight ends. And if he's only playing 50% of the game and he's getting that kind of production, hey, I'll take it. Going to some QB streamers this week. Brock Purdy. Hey, you got to give props where props are due, man. His first career start, he comes out here and just lays a licking on these Tom Brady-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers for his first career win as a starter. Hey, I don't think a lot of people could say that. 49ers have a very QB-friendly system. Brock Purdy, he's playing very disciplined. He's playing very smart football. He's only taking what the defenses are giving him. He's not making mistakes. Even with no Deebo Samuel, I feel like going forward, the San Francisco 49ers are going to be okay. The next 3 games, they play the Seattle Seahawks, the Washington Commanders, which is probably the toughest matchup just based off that defense, and then the Las Vegas Raiders. So those are 3 very good matchups for Brock Purdy and all the 49ers skill position players. Let's see what happens. He's been good 2 weeks in a row. Let's see if he can make it a third. And going over to the last QB streamer for me, Mike White. You cannot question this man's toughness. Nobody can. I've mentioned how easy the Jets' schedule is the rest of the season. I'm sure you guys are sick of me saying that over and over and over again. But Mike White is the man steering the ship here. And he could certainly be steering your ship into a championship. So with how easy that Jets schedule is, if you need a quarterback, maybe you lost Lamar Jackson and maybe you got Tyler Huntley, then he went down to, if Mike White's out there, give him a gander. Why not? He's just cool to have on your team. But I think that's all I got for this video. Again, I would really appreciate it if you go down there, hit like on this video. I really appreciate everybody who watched, and I hope I see you in the next one.